The 60s and 70s, a time of psychedelic rock, soulful ballads, and bell-bottoms that defied logic. But while most musicians were content with breaking guitars and hearts on stage, a select few decided they weren't done conquering the world yet. Nope, they turned their sights to Hollywood, swapping microphones for scripts, and proving that their talent wasn't confined to 3-minute hit singles. These legends seamlessly leapt from packed stadiums to movie sets, trading screaming fans for directors' cues, and somehow making it look like child's play. So, get ready to dive into the stories of those bold, genre-bending trailblazers who showed us that being a rock star was just the beginning. When we talk about 60s singers who made the jump from stage to screen, nobody did it quite like Elvis Presley. The king of rock and roll wasn't just content with swiveling hips and making teenage girls faint. Elvis had bigger plans, ones that involved swapping his iconic jumpsuits for movie scripts. The transition from chart-topping crooner to full-fledged movie star was a path paved with charisma, catchy tunes, and a touch of Hollywood glitter. Elvis made his film debut in Love Me Tender, 1956, a modest start for a man who was already setting the music world on fire. The movie didn't exactly push cinematic boundaries, but it worked for one reason: it had Elvis Presley. His performance wasn't Shakespearean by any stretch, but his charm and smoldering presence were enough to make audiences swoon, and critics nod in reluctant approval. It was a strategic move. The film's title track became a major hit, solidifying Elvis as a double threat in both music and film. And with that, Hollywood realized that Elvis wasn't just good for breaking records, he was good for business. By the 1960s, Elvis had truly found his stride in Hollywood. The movies he chose were often light on plot, but heavy on fun, with titles like GI Blues, 1960, and Blue Hawaii, 1961, showcasing not just his singing talent, but also his easygoing acting chops. Sure, he wasn't out there winning Oscars, but who needed awards when you could pack theaters with fans who came just to see that smile? Elvis's movies were basically vehicles for him to sing, romance a few co-stars, and flash his legendary grin. Audiences ate it up, and studios kept green-lighting Elvis flicks faster than you could say, "Viva Las Vegas." Speaking of which, Viva Las Vegas 1964 remains a classic, not just for its catchy songs, but for the undeniable chemistry between Elvis and his co-star Anne Margaret, who could almost rival the King's magnetism. But Elvis's film career wasn't without its bumps. The sheer volume of movies he made, nearly 30 throughout the 60s alone, meant not all of them were box office gold or critically acclaimed. Titles like Harem Scarum, 1965, and Clambake, 1967, weren't exactly masterpieces. In fact, by the late 60s, even Elvis seemed weary of playing the same recycled characters who got to sing a ballad, drive a fast car, and win over the girl by the final scene. It was becoming clear that Hollywood wasn't using Elvis to his full potential, and the novelty of seeing him on screen was beginning to wear thin. However, Elvis's stint in the movie business was about more than just adding to his fame. It represented a shift in how musicians could branch out and reinvent themselves. He paved the way for future stars to cross seamlessly between mediums, proving that if you had the right mix of talent and charisma, you could make audiences fall for you on both vinyl and celluloid. Even after his film career dwindled, Elvis's legacy as a movie star remained iconic, representing an era where rock and roll met the silver screen in a kaleidoscope of sequins and song. The aftermath of his acting career saw Elvis return to his first love: live performances. He reclaimed his throne in 1968 with a televised comeback special that reminded the world of the raw energy and talent that made him a legend in the first place. While his filmography didn't earn him critical accolades, it solidified his status as an entertainment powerhouse. Today, Elvis's movies are a beloved part of his legacy. Timeless time capsules of a man who made audiences feel like they were watching something or someone otherworldly. From his early days as a rebellious rock star to his final role in Change of Habit, 1969, Elvis Presley showed that there was more to him than just a hip swivel and a sneer. He was the king on stage, but for a decade, he was also a Hollywood mainstay who proved that taking risks, no matter how campy or glamorous, was all part of what made him an icon.
Did you meet anyone special in Germany?
Not any special one. There was a little girl that I was seeing quite often over there that
Before there was Harry Styles or Lady Gaga dazzling audiences with their musical chops and then sweeping them off their feet with powerful on-screen performances, there was the original multi-talented pioneer, Frank Sinatra. Known for his silky voice that crooned out timeless hits like My Way and Fly Me to the Moon, Sinatra wasn't just a singer, he was a force of nature. But even the smoothest voice in the business knew that to truly dominate the entertainment world, you had to be more than just a one-trick pony. Enter Frank Sinatra, the movie star. Sinatra's journey to Hollywood greatness didn't start on a high note. He initially made appearances in musical comedies in the early 40s, where he played roles that leaned heavily on his established persona as the swoon-worthy singer that could make a room go weak at the knees. Films like Anchors Aweigh, 1945, showcased his singing and dancing talents alongside heavyweights like Gene Kelly, proving that Sinatra had the chops to hold his own. But while audiences loved watching Sinatra perform, critics still saw him as more of a novelty act than a true actor. The real turning point came when Sinatra took one of the biggest risks of his career. By the early 50s, Sinatra's golden boy sheen had started to tarnish. His singing career hit a slump, and he was at a crossroads, desperate to reinvent himself. In a move that would make entertainment history, Sinatra campaigned tirelessly for a role that nobody expected him to get: the washed-up, tortured soldier Angelo Maggio in From Here to Eternity, 1953. This was no lighthearted musical. It was a gritty war drama that demanded more than a pretty voice and a cheeky smile. Against all odds, and amidst rumors of mob connections pulling strings, a story so dramatic it deserves its own movie, Sinatra landed the role, and boy did he deliver. Maggio was a far cry from the suave crooner he had built his career on. Sinatra brought raw emotion and vulnerability to the screen, and it paid off big time. His performance earned him the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, cementing him as a legitimate actor with serious range. Suddenly, the world no longer saw Sinatra as just a singer dabbling in acting. They saw a bona fide star. This newfound respect opened the door to a series of film roles that showcased his dramatic and comedic talents. Sinatra's performances in The Man with the Golden Arm, 1955, where he portrayed a drug addict fighting for his life, and Pal Joey, 1957, where he played a charming but morally ambiguous nightclub singer, demonstrated that he could tackle complex characters with ease. And let's not forget the cool as ice Danny Ocean in the original Ocean's 11, 1960, where Sinatra's swagger practically leapt off the screen and defined the Rat Pack era. Sinatra's influence on the film industry was more than just his own roles. His seamless crossover from music to movies inspired future generations of singers to explore acting without fear of being typecast or underestimated. He showed that it was possible to be equally celebrated for both careers, proving that one could croon love songs one day and command a dramatic monologue the next. So, if you ever wonder why today's biggest pop stars are diving headfirst into acting gigs, you can thank Frank Sinatra. He proved that sometimes the guy with the golden voice can also have the golden touch on the silver screen. And he did it all with a wink, a drink in hand, and a swagger that nobody's ever come close to replicating. Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley weren't just music legends, they were trailblazers who broke the mold and set the standard for future generations of multi-talented performers. While Elvis brought his magnetic stage presence and rock and roll flair to fun, high-energy movies, Sinatra stunned the world with his dramatic range and award-winning performances that reshaped his image forever. Both proved that true stardom knows no bounds, seamlessly conquering music charts and Hollywood screens with their undeniable talent and charisma. If you enjoyed this dive into the Hollywood transitions of these iconic stars, don't forget to like this article, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories about the legends who shaped the entertainment world. Stay tuned for more!